Welcome back, you're watching 9 News. Moving on to Asian news. Affected by the decrease in good demand from Europe and the US, China's GDP grew 7.4 in the third quarter from a year ago, down from 7.6 in the previous 3 months.
The annual rate of growth was 7.4% in the third quarter. However, there were signs that the world's second biggest economy is now stabilizing and rebounding. That will be good news for China as leadership transition gets underway, and the rest of the world, which has benefited from its recent boom. According to BBC, senior economist at Crédit Agricole CIB said the last month of the quarter brought acceleration of industrial output, retail sales and fixed asset investment in year-on-year terms, highlighting the fact that improvement of momentum of the economy was particularly strong in September. Alongside its GDP data, China also issued other key economic indicators, and these indicated that things may be starting to pick up again.
A US government security review has found no evidence that telecommunication equipment firm Huawei Technology had spies for China.
The 18-month review, details of which were leaked to the Reuters news agency, suggests security vulnerabilities pose a greater threat than any links between the firm and the Chinese government. Last week, a US congressional report warned against allowing Chinese companies Huawei and ZTE Corp to supply critical telecom infrastructure, but they made out speculation that Huawei has been caught spying for China. A spokesman for China's foreign ministry called for a level playing field for Chinese companies in overseas business, saying as far as the report cited is concerned, it proves again that allegations against Huawei are unfounded.
Due to a drop in sales after territorial disputes with China, Toyota plans to tune down its 2012 group-wide production plan by about 2%.
According to Reuters, Asia's top automaker Toyota may reduce its annual production forecast for 10 million vehicles by almost 200,000 vehicles. But this was reported in the Mid-Japan Economist newspaper website on Thursday without citing any source. After the revelation, Toyota spokeswoman said the figure cited in the report is not based on anything announced by us, and at this time there are no changes to the figures we presented earlier. Toyota and its two local Chinese partners saw sales drop by 48.9% in September from a year earlier to 44,100 vehicles. Analysts have said that Japanese automakers could see a dent in sales in China for months. The automaker is set to announce its July to September earnings results on the 5th of November.
Now moving on to sports news. The weekend's grand final of the World Triathlon Championship was beyond expectation, even in the howling wind and rain. 18.
Both the women's and men's elite races went off without a hitch, in spite of the poor conditions. Though the athletes themselves didn't complain, of course, as triathlons are very much an all-weather sport. They did give Auckland a huge vote of approval for exceptional organisation of the event, as well as the race layout that was unusually hilly. The huge numbers of supporters and spectators did surprise a number of people, with thousands lining the route in the early hours of the morning, all decked out in rain gear. In the men's race, it came down to a sprint over the last 150 metres between Brownlee and Gomez, with Gomez winning by a few metres in a thrilling finish, though Brownlee still won the series. In the women's series, leader Erin Densham of Australia was struck by a bug and had to withdraw. The race winner, Anne Haug, had a wonderful running leg to take the race, with Lisa Norden second, which gave her victory in the World Series.
Neither team appeared to have read the scripts in which the All Blacks were supposed to crush the Aussies, the underwhelming game ending in an 18-all draw.
In fact, the draw is viewed by many as a victory for the Aussies and a loss for the All Blacks, given the weight of expectation on the All Blacks and the fact that the Aussies had 9 of their first-choice players injured. The game was something of a shambles, with both teams making basic errors, especially the Kiwis. The All Blacks simply never measured up over the entire 80 minutes. One can't be sure of the reasons, but the All Blacks have now blown their chances of setting a new world match-winning record in what should have been a sure victory.
No one can put the finger on it, but the Silver Ferns, who beat the Aussies just last month winning the Consolation Cup, took a beating from the Aussies in Australia.
After being thrashed by 68 goals to 48 by their arch-rivals the Aussies, The silver ferns were licking their wounds when they flew into Wellington last night. The 20-goal losing margin had stalwart Irene van Dijk describing it as traumatic, and Katrina Grant said it was a kick in the guts. The Aussies got off to a rampant start, and this appeared to knock the Silver Ferns' confidence. After that, whatever they tried, and they tried too hard, went horribly wrong, and they simply never recovered.
Now moving on to Happy Diner, introducing and reviewing your favourite restaurants in Auckland.
Spanish cuisine is actually very similar to Hong Kong-style yum cha, as all the dishes are small in size and are put into the middle of the table so everyone can share and enjoy a variety of delicious foods. Before the pork belly is being marinated, the chef makes a few cuts on the pork skin. There are two reasons for this. First, it will allow the meat to absorb more seasoning. Second, the fat under the skin will melt away during roasting. After 4 hours of roasting with water under the rack, the pork belly will come out as soft as butter. It is then left in the fridge overnight and cut into serving slices the next day. The pork slices are put in the oven for 10 minutes and pan-fried until crispy.
So with our pork belly, what we do is we get people to take the crackling off the top first. Obviously the crackling's nice and hard and crispy, and underneath it's got soft meat. So if we try and cut straight through, it's going to wreck the pork belly. Basically by doing this, we just tip the pork up on its side, and you'll be able to get the knife and just easily come through, pull away the crackling. Basically we then cut the crackling for each person. There we go, some pork for you, a little bit of relish, and your piece of crackling.
喺快樂食客當中咧，做個 roasted pork belly 已經有幾次啦，但係今次
I think we have had pork belly featured in Happy Diner several times already, but what makes it different this time is how the chef has taught us to separate the meat and crackling first, making it easier to share. Also, what I thought was special is the relish. It has a sweet and sour taste. The acidity eliminates the greasiness. Very delicious.
咗咧，佢會溫和咗呢個豬肉嘅肥膩感，就變咗成個口感同埋味道咧配搭得非常之好。
Another tapas we have prepared today is saffron fried cauliflower with pine nuts and raisins. The cauliflower have been boiled with saffron before being fried, so they are very moist with a unique aroma.
其實啱啱食嘅呢個炸
These fried cauliflowers are actually quite similar to Chinese kebabs, but what makes it different is that it has added some raisins and pine nuts, so it's crunchy with a hint of sweetness. Very unique.